Hello and welcome to World News here on TVP World. I'm Marie Cato. Large-scale Russian drone and missile attacks on Kyiv and across the country have killed at least 4 people and wounded dozens more overnight and into the early hours of Friday morning. This has been one of the most significant attacks on Ukraine in recent months. Let's bring in our correspondent in Kyiv, Oz Katerji, to tell us more on this developing story. Hello, Oz. What more do we know as the details come through?
Well, 4 people killed, 25 others injured, including children among the injured. A difficult day for the Ukrainian people. I'm here in the Desnyansky district, where the building behind me caught on fire after it was hit in that overnight attack. Again, a really difficult night for the Ukrainian Air Force to deal with. President Zelensky says 430 drones and 18 missiles types were used. The attack started around 12:45 on Friday morning, but continued deep into the early hours of the morning. It's about 7 hours worth of strikes. So, another really difficult night. Also, Mayor Vitaly Klitschko says that 11 multi-story, including the one behind me, were hit in that overnight attack. And you may also be able to hear the loud buzz of petrol generators. All of these are operating, trying to keep the shops around me and residential buildings around me with power, because there's no power here following that bombardment. So a significant attack on the Ukrainian capital, probably one of the worst bombardments of the Ukrainian capital since I've been here, since the full-scale invasion began in 2022. So a significant attack on the Ukrainian capital. One that, as I said, search and rescue operations are still underway. So we're still learning the scale of it throughout the day. But we'll keep bringing you that coverage right here on TVP World, Marie.
Many thanks. That's Oz Katerji reporting live from Kyiv. The Russian Black Sea port of Novorossiysk has stopped shipments of oil following a recent Ukrainian drone attack. One of the port's largest Russian suppliers of the resource, Transneft, has also stopped supplying oil to the port. It comes after another coordinated Ukrainian drone attack aimed at oil supply chains. The Russian authorities have stated that 3 crew members were wounded and are currently being treated in the hospital. The strike also set a local oil depot aflame and damaged several buildings. While the total extent of the attack is still unknown, Russian military officials said that their air defenses neutralized 216 Ukrainian drones overnight. The defense ministers of Germany, France, Italy, Poland and the United Kingdom gathered in Berlin on Friday for a meeting of the European Group of 5, a format focused on strengthening European security and coordinating military support for Ukraine. Assistance for Ukraine, measures to strengthen European security and the growing role of Europe in its own defence will be at the top of the agenda at the gathering. EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Kaja Kallas, will be in attendance. Ukrainian Defence Minister Denis Shmyhal is expected to join via video link. Friday's meeting will be the 6th of the E5 overall and the 2nd held in Berlin since the group's establishment nearly a year ago. Germany's 2026 federal budget is now ready for final approval and is expected to dramatically increase aid for Ukraine. The €524.5 billion budget is also €8 billion more than the original draft and will greatly increase German debt. Germany's coalition government is under heavy strain even as it has finally agreed on an official budget proposal for 2026. Although Germany's finance minister Lars Klingbeil, the leader of the SPD, says the budget manages to conserve necessary funds while also providing needed expenditures, there are strong critiques from both the Green Party and the left. The primary changes to the budget regard new borrowing in the form of billions in loans for both armed forces and infrastructure. The biggest change was proposed by the Finance Ministry itself. Ukraine will receive an additional €3 billion for artillery, drones, armoured vehicles and also for the replacement of 2 Patriot missile systems. This increased aid to Ukraine from 8.5 to 11.5 billion euros. A new influx of Ukrainian refugees in Germany is to be denied access to the country's welfare benefits. This is according to a draft bill proposed by Chancellor Friedrich Merz's government, which aims to encourage employment among Ukrainian refugees.
The bill applies to Ukrainian refugees who arrived in Germany after April 1st of this year. It opens the door to withdraw eligibility for Germany's Citizens Benefit Program. However, the refugees from Ukraine would be granted the same payments reserved for asylum seekers instead. Under the new regulation, payments for a single person would be cut from $654 to $532 per month, but the difference would likely be made up in other benefits. According to Merz, young men from Ukraine should provide service in their country instead of leaving for Germany. He asked Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to take care of the issue. The bill is to be given the green light by the cabinet next week.
Germany's ruling coalition has agreed on a new recruitment structure for its military. The country will continue to rely on voluntary service, but there will also be nationwide conscription and targets for increasing the size of the armed forces. Germany is looking to boost its military from the current level of 180,000 soldiers to around 260,000. If the number of volunteers is too low, the Bundestag will decide on so-called compulsory military service based on demand.
Perhaps we should all focus on making it clear how attractive, how necessary and how meaningful service in the German armed forces is, and how to make it attractive for young people, that it's about young men and women being able to make an important contribution to the security of our country, and all on a voluntary basis. That's understandable. It's all very clear.
Well, you know, each country decides for themselves how to deal with the question of getting enough men and women into the military, but I'm very happy to hear that the coalition here in Germany has now agreed, as I understand it, on a way forward.
Germany's political scene has not reacted well to recent comments from the AfD party, suggesting that Poland could pose a threat to Germany on par with or even greater than that of Russia. TVP World spoke with Maciej Kisilowski, associate professor at the Central European University, to better understand the AfD's perception of these tensions and where the party may be headed.
If AfD ever comes to power, we may see much more of a Donald Trump style of politics from Berlin. And if Donald Trump style of politics it comes to Berlin, Poland would be the first victim of it, just as Canada and Mexico are in case of America. If we see ruthless, transactional, egoistic, aggressive moves from Berlin, this is going to completely change how Poland will need to see its security. Currently, our basic idea is we have only friends to the west of us, and we need to focus on the threat from the east. If AfD comes to power one day, we will come to this historic, awful situation that Poland repeatedly faced throughout its history, and it always led to tragedy, which is when we will truly have two enemies, both from the east and from the west. And this is absurd that Polish right-wing parties are trying to say that current democratic governments of Germany represent this threat, because this can't be farther from the truth.
The U.S. Department of State has designated 4 European branches of Antifa as specially designated global terrorist organizations. The move is a continuation of President Donald Trump's rhetoric to curb left-wing violence and radicalization of youth, seeing the organization as a danger to society in the United States and abroad.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said last Thursday that the move is a continuation of Trump's commitment to confront Antifa's campaign of political violence, seconding the U.S. president's rhetoric about Antifa's violent roots.
The epidemic of left-wing violence and Antifa-inspired terror has been escalating for nearly a decade. At universities, Antifa has organized riotous mobs to attack campus speakers. I see it all the time. And these are agitators, anarchists, and they're paid.
The main entity designated is Antifa Ost, while another group is based in Italy and 2 more in Greece.
But they have been very threatening to people, but we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us, and that includes the people that fund them. Under the Trump administration, we're going after Antifa criminals, and All who fund and support their campaigns are in serious trouble.
In the latest statement, Rubio added that the U.S. will designate the Antifa groups as foreign terrorist organizations from November 20th on, paving the way to limit material support for groups' members.
Romania's tax agency is seizing the main residence of former President Klaus Iohannis. Iohannis has been charged with tax evasion of over €1 million. Romania's National Agency for Fiscal Administration will seize former President Iohannis' main residence in an effort to recover a tax debt of around €1 million. The Romanian government has charged Iohannis with illegally collecting rents from a property acquired unlawfully by his family. Those properties have already been confiscated. It appears Iohannis tried to cover the tax debt with the already confiscated properties, but those are in such great disrepair that ANAF says they do not hold enough value to cover the debts. ANAF will continue to see the missing funds from Iohannis. Billionaire Jeff Bezos' space company Blue Origin has successfully launched its first New Glenn rocket flight for paying customers.
3, 2, 1.
The 98-metre-long rocket took off from Cape Canaveral in Florida on Thursday evening. Its payload contains 2 NASA satellites that are bound for Mars. It was the two-stage rocket's first flight since its inaugural launch in January. The takeoff also saw the return landing of its reusable booster for the first time. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos started Blue Origin in 2000. Until recently, it was largely known for a space tourism business that flies wealthy passengers to the edge of space.
And that's all for World News. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned for more on TVP World. Goodbye.